you ever noticed this before? It's been in the background of some of my videos, and you may or may not have noticed it. Even over HD camera, I suppose it's pretty hard to tell what it actually is. But what it is a reprint of the front of a newspaper. The Bismarck, Dakota Territory Tribune Extra. July 6, 1876, and as you can see from the top, it's reporting on the Battle of Little Bighorn, when General George Armstrong Custer was killed. As you can see, it describes it as a massacre. Well, all the soldiers were killed, so in that sense it was a massacre, but that's not really how we see it anymore. But at the time, this article definitely tells a very desperate story of white men being slaughtered by, as they put it in here, red devils. Yes, it's remarkably racist. Now, this kind of article wouldn't fly today, but at the time this was the accepted narrative in the nation, that the Native Americans were all heathens and red devils and foolishly standing in the way of white progress. What were they thinking being here before the whites arrived? And why did they not just simply relent when they did? Well, at any rate, the Lakota and the Cheyenne did not take so well to the white arrival and went to war with them. This was a battle fought. Little Bighorn was a battle. And the Native Americans, they won. They won very handily. They had a better strategy. They surrounded Custer's men, and they killed all of them. They didn't take prisoners for the most part. I mean, what would they do with prisoners anyway? Yes, this narrative has changed a lot in our nation. Historians have changed the concept of the Battle of Little Bighorn. It was called the Massacre of Little Bighorn for a long time, but now it's the battle. People have come to realize that this was just a military engagement, fought fairly and rightly, and victory was had by one side. It wasn't a massacre. Custer wasn't lined up and shot in the head for no good reason. He was trying to kill them. There's other things in this article that are disturbing about mutilation and stealing body parts and other things that are just awful. Torture is assumed because, you know, they're Indians. And of course, back towards the end here, it does manage to say that they think almost as many Indians were killed as were white men. Yes, we certainly have changed our view of the Battle of Little Bighorn. It's went from a massacre of white men, such as George Armstrong Custer and all of his people, to a battle fairly fought and a battle fairly won by the Lakota and the Cheyenne. But is there another way to see this battle? One more thought to have on Little Bighorn. There's a phrase here. Shall this be the beginning of the end? Now, of course, that doesn't refer to what I'm going to be talking about, but it refers to, is this the beginning of the end of white people? Will the Native Americans sweep across the plains and kill all the whites? As we know from history, that didn't happen. But it was the end of the Lakota and the Cheyenne in many ways. Yes, this battle proved to the army that they were fighting a very serious opponent, and so they took their opponent more seriously and didn't engage them directly again for the most part. And they played around with them, they cut off their supplies, they forced them into bad spots, and they eventually forced them to surrender. In fact, within 3 years, Crazy Horse, one of the major commanders of this battle, was dead. The Lakota had surrendered and were completely on reservations. And in less than a decade, every Native American in the American West was on a reservation, completely and utterly defeated. So maybe Little Bighorn did mark the beginning of the end. Not for whites, though. No. Unfortunately, it was the beginning of the end of the Native Americans on the plains, being free and open. They were just outnumbered. Technology wasn't as good. They didn't really stand a chance in the battle. The disease of the whites had badly limited their population before they even arrived on the plains. Lots of ways to see Little Bighorn. This narrative, which I don't think anybody accepts anymore, a fairly fought battle, or sort of the last gasp of the great Native American military power that had once inhabited the plains. However you see it, I guess that's historical perspective.